the Bahamas. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderle. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, there are lots of questions tonight after a brazen man out on bail walked into a police station, left his electronic monitoring device, and walked out. Officer in charge of the Central Police Station, Ashton Greenslade, told ZNS News that Sean Lightburn walked into the station at about noon yesterday with the device wrapped in newspaper, then took off running. Officers pursued him but couldn't catch him. Now, Lightburn has since been captured. We have since spoken with the electronic monitoring company ICS, and according to them, they're in the process of upgrading all of the ankle bracelets, and that's why Lightburn was at the station in the first place. In this report, Clint tells us that the breach highlights a problem that the ICS company has been concerned about for a while now.
Sean Lightburn, up until now, was considered a good candidate for the electronic monitoring program. Authorities claim they never had any problems with Lightburn, nor any attempts from him trying to get rid of the device before. On Wednesday, he was ironically scheduled to have his flex cuff converted to the new tough cuff, which all persons in the program will now wear to reduce chances of tampering. While en route to the Central Police Station for the process to take place, he reportedly began cutting the cuff. The drive long enough so that by the time he arrived at the station, he placed the band on the front desk and fled, later turning himself in. Manager of Surveillance, CCTV Systems and Monitoring Services at ICS Bahamas Limited, Melvin Ferguson, says this hammered home their reason for upgrading the devices from the flexi cuff, which minor offenders used, to the tough cuff, which previously more serious offenders used.
This jurisdiction, we have more cuts than any other jurisdiction in the world that electronic monitoring is being used. So it caught us by surprise. That's why we started out with this. Many parts of the world, people pay to be in a program like this. So to have 1-2 cuffs cut a year is almost impossible. But we've had 5.
The company has not gone without criticism. Former co-chair of the National Crime Commission, Bishop Simeon Hall, who recommended the system, says the company should implement some measure of recall. There are currently 263 people on the monitoring system, and ICS is moving quickly to convert everyone to the tough cuff. We asked Ferguson if, in his view, the flexi cuff failed to meet standards since they have had to convert everyone to a more secure band.
You know, I wouldn't say it failed. I would say that based on the creativity of our people, there are certain people they're just going to try it. And like I said, the numbers just are more higher here than any other jurisdiction. So we just, like any other technology or device, you need to upgrade and keep up with what the current trend is.
Ferguson says they've had no problems with the tough cuff and are convinced it will eliminate the few challenges they've experienced, although it's more costly. The monitoring system has proven to be a strong tool in fighting crime. While on one hand it can be used to declare someone's innocence, it also has been used to capture criminals. It's important to note that not everyone on bail is on the electronic monitoring system. Ferguson feels it should be used more, particularly in tracking rapists and murderers.
Recidivism is somewhat high, and we know that people, especially when they're released and have not had any counseling, can recommit or tend to recommit again. So with a device like this on, it will assist the police in a great way. If people are on bail and they are attached to a bracelet, it makes it so much more easier to pick up. It makes it so much more easier to say, where was this person a month ago? Where was he 2 weeks ago? We had an offense or an occurrence at this address. Was he there?
Now, we can tell you at no point was the individual never not monitored. He was being monitored through the entire process. We can also tell you that he most likely will face even greater consequences, as he will now have to return to court to face the result of his action. Clint Watson, ZNS News.
Residents of Nassau Village say Urban Renewal 2.0 is having an impact in their community. They say, coupled with the police presence, illegal activity is down, and now the work of getting social assistance to those most in need is starting. The officers shared their success with our Shanique Miller today.
It's been only 4 weeks, but Urban Renewal Police in Nassau Village claim crime in the area is down.
We haven't had no major serious crime in this area for the month on record since Urban Renewal has come into Nassau Village. And we've been doing foot patrol, mobile patrol in the area.
In fact, since going into Nassau Village, Inspector Kirk Douglas and his team have removed over 100 derelict vehicles. And to cripple what is most times the hub of criminal activity in communities like Nassau Village, Douglas says 6 abandoned houses have been demolished.
Where young men tend to hang out for criminal activities, drugs, guns, and that's havoc to the community.
They like our presence here in the community, so it shows you that it's a small group of persons that do not want to see the community thrive, but the majority of the persons in Nassau Village are here to make it work.
Now, some people believe Nassau Village is crime-ridden, from riots with the police to being an area with a high murder and crime rate. Officer in charge of the National Urban Renewal Program, Superintendent Stephen Dean, says officers went into Nassau Village with a clear mandate to correct this image.
At the end of the day, we must reduce crime in this area. We must allay the fear of crime, that people feel safe in the area, that they can walk to church, the children can go to Sunday school, being unmolested, as the case may be.
Good morning, Shanique. Good morning, Bahamas.
The work of the police is not going unnoticed. Residents like Nicole Martin talked about the difference they're making on the ZNS Morning News. Martin says the police presence is presenting a unique opportunity to reclaim the community.
People like myself are coming together, and we have to let the criminal minds know that we will not be held hostage to that.
Charmaine Josey says community leaders are also coming forward with programs that give young people a positive alternative. The way Kim Moss helps out is through her social program, Hands of Hope.
We have a number of churches, so of course they have their own individual programs going on. I know that we have youth summer programs going on. We usually have an annual basketball tournament for the young men in the area, along with the Urban Renewal Program. As you can see, Shani, that's a lot of involvement for the youth in the area.
We have been in this community working, giving out clothing and food packages to the elderly and the poor.
The police feel with the community's help, crime will no longer be how Nassau Village is defined. Instead, it will be known as a wholesome community, conducive for family life. Shanique Miller, ZNS News.
Well, Independence Day is just 5 days away now, and as it continued its observances, ZNS was in Nassau Village, as you saw. Among those who turned up at the community park to welcome our crew was the area member of Parliament, Dion Smith, and he says he came into Nassau Village realizing that there was a lot of work to do.
I always told persons during my campaign that if you want to go above and beyond, vote for Dion, and that is still my motto. We intend to take the wider majority of Nassau Village forward, and we want to, at the end of my term here, show Nassau Village as a different community altogether. You know, if people can change, why can't we change an entire community? I want to bring one side of Nassau Village together with the other. I'm very excited about what's going on with the urban renewal. Indeed, the team is working very hard. I don't know if you can see, but before you leave the area of Nassau Village, if you would look, there's a lot of areas that have been cleared down. We've cleared this down because as a part of our campaign, we spoke about how we understand persons may hide in bushy areas or hide illegal items in bushy areas. So we've been having that done. Also to the derelict vehicles, we've been having them removed. In addition to that, we've been trying to help some of the less fortunate that actually have structural damages to their homes, you know, so we've been trying to just uplift the people's spirit.
Police have released the identity of the man killed in Exuma this week. He is 30-year-old Ricardo Roll of Curtis, Exuma. The deceased apparently got into an altercation with a family member and was chopped multiple times about the body. Police are questioning that 22-year-old relative in connection with the incident. Now, that murder marks the country's 69th this year. And a 25-year-old Winton Meadows resident was arrested at the Lyndon Pindling International Airport yesterday after he was allegedly found in possession of 15 kilos of suspected cocaine worth some $240,000 on the street. According to police, the arrest was made around 4:15 Wednesday afternoon when airport police got a tip from U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel who searched a commercial aircraft and reportedly discovered the drugs inside a suitcase. In other news tonight, members of the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union are heading back to court. There's a dispute over when elections are due. Union member and former shop steward Dave Beckford is pushing the case.
We are simply seeking clarification from the court as to when our election will be held. Our Constitution said that officers shall be elected for a term of 3 years. We have a date hearing that is set for August the 2nd, 2012.
Now, you may recall that 3 elections had to be held before Nicole Martin was declared president back in 2009, pardon me. However, Beckford claims elections should have been held in May of this year, the 3-year anniversary of her first election. The current executive team reportedly disagrees and plans to hold elections next year. Now, according to Beckford, that would give the current executive team 4 years in office, which he says is a breach of the union's constitution. We called Hotel Union President Nicole Martin for a response, but she declined comment. Former city markets workers are a step closer to getting their outstanding redundancy and pension payments. That's according to Labor Minister Shane Gibson. Minister Gibson told reporters following a meeting with a number of unions today at his Meeting Street office that city markets owners have committed to paying their former employees in full.
We had an opportunity to speak with the employer over the past couple of weeks, and again one of the representatives 2 days ago, who have indicated that they're still waiting on payments from the company who bought the business from them. I think it may have been supervised, I'm not sure. And as soon as those monies are received, they've committed to paying out the full sum received to those persons who they owe monies to. Mr. Harker Brown, who's Director of Labor, has been meeting with members of the union and also some of the former employees over the past couple of weeks, trying to get management to move in this process. I believe that we are closer now than we've been in the past, and hopefully we would see some movement in terms of payment very soon.
Stefano Green of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union says workers are hoping the process will be completed soon.
Morale is very low. For some of them, they're skeptical as to whether or not and how long it's taking. I know that the government has assisted a lot of the workers, if not all, in various areas with, I think, social services and those other areas. But we try to ask them to keep hope alive. And we know that at the end of the day, they will be paid.
Now, some 400 city markets employees are owed over $3 million in redundancy payments and pensions. Minister Gibson says the government is expected to table legislation in the House of Assembly by July 25th, which will protect workers in similar situations. Meantime, a City Markets SuperValue spokesperson has confirmed City Markets has been sold to SuperValue, and the Cable Beach City Market store is scheduled to open at 7 a.m. Friday.
Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, says it's been a challenge trying to contract.
Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, the gift the teachers will go back to school with in the fall. Stay tuned, that's after the break.